I'm going to show you two simple ways to source profitable grocery products to sell on Amazon that most people are overlooking by using Keepa Product Finder. What's going on? I'm Joe with FBA Basecamp, and this is likely the start of a multi-week series using Keepa. We get a lot of questions and comments about using Keepa and how to source differently. It's one of the most underrated tools, and anybody that's been in this for a while definitely uses it and probably uses it every time they source. So this is something that we can go through and we can show many different ways to use this. I'm going to show you a couple today, and then I'll specifically call out the grocery category, but it can be used in many different categories. We'll go through a few of the setups, and then I'll eventually release a sheet that has any of these items that are on it as well, so that you can just copy and paste in the URLs and have the same searches that I've been looking at. We'll go ahead and we'll get started and let us know if you have any questions. Definitely something that you're going to want to subscribe to so that you can have access to this in the future. All right, so Keepa, let's go to the keepa.com. So we have that listed here. So if you're not already paying for the full version of it, you definitely want to get the full version. The free version is not going to get you what you need in general, and definitely not be able to get you all this. So you go to keepa.com. If you haven't been here before, this is what it looks like. Click on data, and it'll give you a bunch of different ways to look at stuff. You can do everything from when you're doing the Amazon to Amazon flips. There's different ways through deals tabs to go look for things. But in this case, we're going to go to the product finder. Product finder pulls up and you'll see it has a lot of different information on here. Everything from buy box to new used Amazon sellers to having the different categories, subcategories, search fields. And, this is if you want to include something or not include anything, from brands to models to sizes, part numbers, everything there. And then this gets into offer counts on percentages and offer counts on amount over a period of time. Keepa tracks so much information that it gives you a wealth of knowledge on this. It's something that you can really customize this any way that you want to, and get all sorts of results by searching in creative ways. You can even get into reverse sourcing if you want to get into like sellers and then drop 15 of your favorite storefronts into here. You can pull all their ASINs into one section and then search it that way, or take that and drop that into a program like Tactical Arbitrage to have it help you source. But in this case, we're going to do it simply because most people don't have all those extra programs, and this is something that the products I'm going to pull up in this might be something that programs like Tactical Arbitrage would skip over. It's certainly going to be stuff that the people doing retail arbitrage, just scanning barcodes, are going to skip over, and then maybe miss some of the things that we're going to go through with some bundles as well. So basically, the first one I'm going to go through is a bundle listing. So what bundles are is it could be multiple products together, or it can be the same product that has a multi-pack. And in this case, we're really going to be looking at the multi-packs in here. So it's something that when you go through a store and you scan it, or if Tactical Arbitrage goes through, it gets confused with the products that pull up using the UPC and how many units are there, and it gives you skewed results. So a lot of people skip past it when it's something that they're really going right over some really profitable products. And if you're in a store scanning, sometimes it's not the first thing that pops up and shows you, so people miss it. So in this case, we can go through and do a few different things. So what I like to do is I'll kind of hit Control F to kind of go around this to to search the stuff. So I'll go to category. So obviously there's a few here, but I want the root category. And in this case, we're going to go down to grocery. Um, so that's all. Now you can get into subcategories too if you really want to get down into everything, where you can get into really protein packs and bars and everything that you can possibly think of. You can get into the subcategories, but in this case, we really just want to see what's going to happen here when we go through just as the root category. So then we want to go down to the size. So size is where you're going to find the package sizes. So I'll click on size. So it's going to say is one of. You can also select it as none of, but in this case, one is one of. And then for the size, you go through and you pull that menu down and see a bunch of different things here. And then it doesn't list them all. So in this case, we want to hit pack. So if you search pack, you'll see that it gives you a list of 5 packs, 20 packs, 50 packs, whatever is on Amazon is what they're going to go. So we're gonna hit select all, so it'll populate all these. And as you see, the number keeps decreasing down here. So if before that I probably had hundreds of thousands or a million listings. Now it's getting down to realizing that there's 21,000 that are going to pull up. Then I want to go up to top here where it's going to have the rank. So you can do the current sales rank or you can do the 30-day. I like to do 30 because sometimes some things spike or it might happen for some weird reason that something jumps around. So I want to go, I don't care how low it is, but I don't want to go, like, say in this case, higher than, we could use 50,000. You can go less or more, but in this case, if I do that, it's going to drop us down to 1,200 products. And then if I want to narrow it down even more, I can get into things that I just don't want Amazon on. Let's go to out of stock. Let's click that instead. See if that pulls up. So it drops down a little bit. So if we go up to buy box here, we can then click on, like, I don't want to get something that's really small. So I might say that, I want the buy box to be over $20. And then once you do that, drops down to 329. And to say you didn't want to get anything crazy expensive, you can say that, altogether you didn't want anything over, $120. So if I put that on there, it's down to 325. So once you have that, you can hit find products. 325 is a pretty manageable number to source through. And I clicked at the Amazon out of stock, so drop that down. Let's see what it brings back up to if I were to, yeah, so it adds some in there. I don't mind selling on listings that Amazon's in stock on. A lot of times it holds the price a little bit more true because people are competing with the Amazon price versus with each other and dropping it down by a penny every second. But in this case, we're going to just keep it easy, keep that out of stock. Now, again, this search you can do for any category. You can change anything with the sales rank. 50,000 is pretty low for grocery. You can go higher than that and still sells really well. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to hit find products. You're going to see this thing bouncing around here. Now, if you ever have to go back and you want to change any of these settings in here, do not hit the back button. Absolutely do never touch that. You want to go back into advanced filter. That'll pop you back into this menu again, and you can adjust that however you want. Now, once I have this and I'm into this section, this URL up here is now unique to what I pulled up. So I can hit Control C and I can just drop that into another window. So then that way, if I ever want to do the same search again, I can go ahead and just copy and paste that in. And that's something that anybody can copy and paste in. It's not exclusive to what I just did. So if you were to paste that same thing right now, you would pull up these same listings. So it's a pretty neat thing to be able to do. And then that way, if you want to take that and then say you don't want to do grocery, but you want to do beauty, you just change category to beauty and change whatever, dollar amount settings to whatever you want. So in this case here, it gives you the list, shows you a bunch of stuff. And then, it has 300 something right now. If I were to export it, it would only do 100 rows. So you'd want to drop this down, and it's under 500. So right now we do 500. So that way it captures all this, so it bounces around. And you'll see the quota over here is going to change some every time that you scan this thing and do stuff. So you only have a certain amount of quota per day. So if you want to mess around with it too much, I'd be careful with it because you might run out of quota, and then you can definitely export it. So I've already exported this to make it a little bit easier and quicker on everybody because it does take a couple minutes sometimes. So let me pull the bundles over. So in this case, I'll show you a few things that are on this. So with this, it gives you a lot of different listings that are here, and you can see they're all separated parts. Like the sriracha has things that are separated by some other items in this. So to make this easier on the bundles here, I like to go ahead and filter it and sort it. So the way that I'll do that is I'll click the top here, then I'll go to data, I'll hit filter, and then it gives this drop down arrow. And then what I can do, actually in this one I don't necessarily need to do that, but you can do it two different ways. I can sort it this way by hitting A to Z. Sorry, go to this one, hit A to Z. That's going to sort the whole list and sort all these. And what it's going to do is then categorize them together. So in this case, if I were to look up this Adams gum, I'd have both of the listings of 2 and 100 here. So you can go through and you can see all this. So in this case, I can go through and I can pull some. And you'll see I have a couple different things. Like if you did this listing and pulled it, you wouldn't have images show up here. What you'd have is going to look different. It would have just a URL. So you can see that I have a B column that I took out of there. And what I did is you can copy this code here, but if you want to screenshot and copy this, that's what you drop into C. And then if that was referencing to the B column, and then would give you the image, and then you can just expand this out so you don't have a tiny little thumbnail. The other thing I do is I use SellerAmp. So what I did is, again, you might want to copy and paste this, and I could probably drop it into some comments later. But I put this into the field because what it does is SellerAmp uses a unique code to then pull up the ASIN. So I put this in right in front of or right after the ASIN here. So this is referencing this one, and so on and so forth. So it's going to pull all that data. So then what I like to do is, we can pull a few that, show something here. Let's see, that's good. So what I'll do is now I'm going to select whatever it is. I'll just pick some random, items here, and I'm going to copy all these. And you're going to say, well, why are you copying all these and dropping them in? So what I'm going to do is I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going to use a Chrome extension called Open Multiple URLs. It's a free extension that my good friend Tony, that's used Startup FBA, he's going to be interviewed in the next coming weeks here, depending on when you see this. He's given me a ton of information with Keepa and everything else. Some of the stuff that I'm using today is actually adapted from some of the videos that I've watched with him and been in coaching with him. So what I do is I pull up this open URLs, I paste in here. Now I put a do not load tabs until selected because I don't want it bogging down everything on my computer. And then I just hit open URLs, and you'll see it populates in the top here, all the different windows. So now when I go and select it, it populates the SellerAmp, and then I can go through and I can then source it this way. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go through and source everything and try to find where you can find these profitably. I'm just trying to show that you can now find these variety packs or multiple packs of items. This one's obviously multi, so it's not the same thing over and over again. So you want to make sure that you buy one of each of these, which is, again, something that's going to separate other people from doing it because it's a little bit harder. In this case, this has one person, Arctic Farm, so you may not want to sell an Arctic Farm, someone that looks like they might do IP complaints. There's another Arctic Farms because that's what I selected on there, so we'll cancel out of these ones. All right, so this one I have this Aussie black bean sauce. So let's just go check it. This has a few people selling it. None of them look like they're the brand. I'm doing FBM for some reason. I'm not 100% sure why. Probably because it's a 1.1 pound and it's pack of two, so 2 pounds is going to be pretty heavy item to go and sell. But again, you can look this up and see what this costs, and then see if it makes sense for you to sell it. Going to the next one here. Okay, so this one is, again, it's not a multi, it's a bundle pack of 2 different types. So you want to make sure you're not just adding 2 things in there. In this case, again, we'll see Flavored God Spices and Seasonings. I don't know if that's the name of the company or not. Yeah, by Flavor God. So again, this one's probably an IP complaint one. And you're going to find out with some of these because if you're not selling in the stores, you don't necessarily need to have a UPC. Now this one probably does because they have it associated with their brand. But you might find that, the reason that people aren't selling on these is because, they're private labels. So you're gonna have to go through and look at some of them, make some determinations based off of who's selling it and what they are, and if you're familiar with it. Definitely if you're familiar with the brands, like we saw some of the Sriracha ones that were in there, that's something that that, a lot of people sell that product. So you can buy multiple packs of it. Okay, you got this one, same thing. Let's see. Only selling a few a month. Yeah, this one, same thing. It's not going to be one that you want to sell on. Then here we have this Baron West Indian hot pepper sauce. Baron Foods. Let's see, there's nobody selling it at all. So that's one that looks like it fell off somewhere on here. I'm not sure exactly why. There's other packs in this, so we kind of see what other people are seeing. Here's a different listing. It looks very similar. That might have the UPC listed. Yeah, so this one has the UPC, but it says pack of 3 and it's only showing 2. So there's some weird things going on here. Again, nobody's selling it. So this might be something that they've phased out or just people forgotten about, which can be good too. You can do a no UPC search through this and find if there's if there's going to be a UPC on it or not. So let's see. Go into some other ones, try to see if there's other sellers on any of these. Yeah, so this one's got several sellers on it. Uh, Baducho, Maria Cookies. So I'm not familiar with them, but again, this is a pack of 9, so they might come in that in a case pack, and then you can buy that and take a look at what makes sense. So I'd go through and check it. It might be a wholesale item, or it could be something you could pick up at your grocery store. You'll have to kind of go through and check to see what makes sense for you. Just double checking again. I'll go through and make it so I don't see the brand name on here. So then, yeah, so that's what you'll do, and you kind of go through, and you got to go through the whole list. So obviously, you have a bunch of these that are going to pop up on these different bundles, and you got 500 something listings. If you have a VA, they can go through some of this stuff, or you can kind of get an idea and eliminate some of them. Like if you know any of these are private labels, you can just delete them out of there. If you know that any of these, like say it's a 2-pack, they're probably the same price for the 2 different styles. But if you know that one's just not going to work for the pricing, then you can eliminate the other ones, and you definitely know that a 3-pack may not work if it's going to be similar pricing. So you can go through and kind of eliminate a lot of these things by just seeing what makes sense. And then if ones are close, you might want to, kind of earmark them because it might be something you can come back to later if there's a sale. So we can go through it that way. So I'm going to show you another way that we can use Keepa Product Finder, and that's going to be going through a No UPC search. So what I'll do is the same thing, same way that I set this up. So I'll do the 50,000. Again, I might want to change the buy box some. So you'll do 14 to 60 on this one, so it's not going to be a bundle, so I don't need to go anything crazy with it. You'll see that it's at 56,000 on here. And if I want to get Amazon out of it, again, I can click the out of stock. If you want to make sure they're out of stock at longer periods of time, you can then populate some of these here to then show that they've been out of stock for longer than 90 days. So that way, they just ran out of stock and are going to jump back in it. For right now, we'll just keep it where it's at there. Again, I'm keeping the root category as grocery and gourmet. You could add in any subcategories if you wanted to, or specific brands if you just want to search, say Equate brand if that's what you wanted, or good value because you see that you're shopping at Walmart a lot. You can do a lot of different things with Keepa, and we'll get into that in some of the other videos. But in this case, I'm going to hit find products. See it's going to take a long time for it to click through, and that's because it's trying to find all the different products. So I've actually done this already. So you kind of click through and see it's going to take a long time because it's looking up 5,000. So I pulled this many down to 5,000. And then you can click this a second time. Once this goes through, it'll say, 1 to 5,000 or more. There'll be multiple pages that'll be in here it'll look up. So you can go through and you can see the quota will keep going down every time I click something that's this large. So you can see how long it would take to do that, which is why I'm exporting. It's also going to take a bit. So what that ends up pulling up is this doesn't automatically do the No UPCs just from this list. So you'll see it has a list just like everything else. It's going to list the groceries in a lot of different ways. You're going to see UPCs associated with them. So this listing is just going to show you everything that came up with the 50,000 under there. So we're not looking for that full product or that full result. What we're looking for is to then get No UPCs. So again, I'm going to put the filtering option up here. I'm going to click on filters. I'm going to then on here, I'll deselect them all there. Now scroll down to the bottom where it says blanks. That's what I'm looking for. So again, it's going to change the selection of the 10,000 that I copied and pasted into this. It's going to lower, make it significantly less. So now that I have all these ones here, these are all the products that do not have UPCs. So if anybody was going scanning RA through the store, they would miss these because they go and scan it and it wouldn't come up as anything, or at least it wouldn't find this specific listing. It might find another listing that might not be as profitable. So in this case, you want to go through. Now, you do want to check to make sure that the brands are actually the brands. Like this is an espresso, Virtualine coffee. So obviously the brand is Nespresso, but here the brand is saying OZ Smile. So you do want to make sure that these aren't bad listings where they have the wrong brand to it or a generic on it. If it says generic, do not sell it. It's just not going to be good for you. It's very rare that would be a situation that would make sense. So in this case, we can kind of go through and select it the same way that we did with SellerAmp popping up here. So we can pick whatever we want. I can also sort this by the name. So if you wanted to do the same thing like we did before, so you get a title. I already have it sorted by names, I guess. Sort A to Z. Yeah, so it was already sorted by the name there. So in this case, so you can see all these different brands. I can go and search this whole site. So if this site or I found a site that had these profitable, now I can say, okay, the black currant, I want that. The banana syrup, I want that, whatever. So you can go through and select any of these again. Everything's loading up a little slow here because it's a big file. All right, so again, I'm not sure any of this stuff, what makes sense and what's able to be purchased. So I can then select, whatever you want here. Control C, get back to my regular window, hit the open multiple URLs, drop that into there, click it. If you want them to load, you can just kind of click each one of them, or you can uncheck that box that I already had checked there before. And here again, you'll pull each of these up to see if the name matches the brand that's on here. I'm going to want to so you have multiple people selling it. I don't see the brand on here yet. So this is probably something that could be a good listing. Selling pack of 18. So again, you get into these multi-pack things that don't have UPCs. So that could be profitable. Might be something you got to source a little bit harder to find. You got to pack a little bit differently. It might not be something that's prep center friendly if you got to pay a bunch more for your bundles, but it could be something that if you're don't have a prep center, now you have a leg up on everybody else. Here's another great example. This has got two different products together. People just aren't going to scan. If they scanned one of these, it might have a UPC and it won't come up this listing. So in this case, you can sell both these together and be a lot more profitable. And on here, no one's even selling it. Amazon was on it at some point, but it looks like they're completely off of it. They might have been the only seller on this. So again, you want to double check to make sure these aren't kind of issues with any of these products. And some of them may be, they might be discontinued and you can't get them. But in this case, you just kind of go through and see what makes sense, and then try to find profitable products by, not as many sellers necessarily being on it. It's just not co. So again, the brand here, they have a brand, and then somebody jumped on it as FBM. I couldn't tell you if these people are going to do an IP complaint or not. I can tell you that you are going to have less competition on these listings because it's just harder to source them. So that's not necessarily indicative of it, but I don't necessarily like selling on a listing where the brand owner's on it because they're obviously going to get a lot less expensive than anybody else is going to get it. Numa Foods. Yeah, so some of these are like bundle pack of candies, and if Numa's on the other ones, probably on these ones. So Numa might be something, again, once you kind of go through these, you can say, okay, this is something that only the brand is on, so I want to drop that off my list. So then you go back to your list. You then, erase any of these things. If you did find a good listing, so I like to then drop it and I'll put, say these are good, I'll put green. Something looks like marginal, I'll do the yellow. If something's bad, I'll put red, or I'll get it out of there. Sometimes I'll add a note in, so I might have a note field like IP complaint or private label or something. So that way you can get rid of all that stuff. So a lot of different ways that you can use this. And then the same thing, if you're using SellerAmp, you can, make your Google Sheet lists. I have a ton of them, but you can do whatever you want to, drop these things in to make sense of it any way that you want to make sense of it. So those are just the two ways that you go through and find the different grocery items. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this, and you'll see that in the next coming weeks here that I'll kind of show all different Keepa searches. There's a bunch of them. We'll kind of go through what categories might work for some, or some of them, all the categories may work. We'll also get into how to look up brand specific listings, how to do searches on all that stuff so you can use this to maximize your time when you're sourcing, or to give a list to a virtual assistant and then have them kind of give you the results that they find through doing these searches. Again, I can go through and I can make a list of all the searches that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of weeks here, put them onto a spreadsheet that you can download and then copy and paste and play around with yourself, or just go through and do the same creation of the list that I just did. We'll constantly be updating our Discord group with this. If you want to invite to there, you'll see that in the link below. You can just click that and then drop into there. That's all free, and we give a lot of different information from on stuff like Keepa to everything to Amazon flips. We drop some leads in there from time to time. We try to help everybody the best we can in any of their Amazon or Walmart selling journeys here. We appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and we'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you spending time with us. Thanks.